Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Nishit Kumar, and with me is Aditi Lumba, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. Union Council of Ministers expanded in India. 43 ministers, including 15 cabinet ministers, take oath following all COVID protocols. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar leaves for a 3-day visit to Russia. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal invites business community to actively take part in development process in the Indo-Pacific region. Haiti's President Jovenel Moise assassinated at his home in Port-au-Prince. Olympic torch relay cancelled on Tokyo streets amid COVID-19 fear. And in Wimbledon tennis, Novak Djokovic enters the men's singles semi-final after defeating Martin Fucsovics. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also to help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask. Maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. 43 ministers were sworn in to the Union Council of Ministers as Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inducted many new faces. They include 15 cabinet ministers and 28 ministers of state. BJP leaders Narayan Rane, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Sarbananda Sonowal, Dr. Virendra Kumar, Ashwini Vaishnav and Bhupendra Yadav and RCP Singh of the JDU and Pashupati Kumar Paras of the LJP were sworn in as cabinet ministers.
मैं नारायण तातुराणी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा।
मैं ज्योतिरादित्य माधवराव सिंधिया ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वाह करूंगा।
I, Sarbananda Sonowal, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India.
मैं डॉक्टर वीरेंद्र कुमार ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा।
मैं अश्विनी वैष्णव ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा।
मैं भूपेंद्र यादव ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं भूपेंद्र यादव ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के मंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को तब के सिवाय जबकि ऐसे मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों के सम्यक निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो, मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा।
मैं रामचंद्र प्रसाद सिंह ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा।
Union Ministers Hardeep Singh Puri, Mansukh Mandavia, Kiran Rijiju, Rajkumar Singh, G. Kishan Reddy, Purushottam Rupala and Anurag Thakur were also elevated to the rank of Cabinet Ministers.
I, Hardeep Singh Puri, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge my duties as a Minister for the Union, and that I will do right to all manner of people in accordance with the Constitution and the law without fear or favor, affection or ill will.
मैं मनसुख मांडविया ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा।
मैं किरण रिजिजू ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा।
मैं गंगापुरम किशन रेड्डी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा।
मैं अनुराग सिंह ठाकुर ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय, पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा।
President Ramnath Kovind administered the oath of office in secrecy today at a ceremony organized at the Rashtrapati Bhavan while following all COVID protocols. BJP MPs Pankaj Chaudhary, SP Singh Baghel, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Sobha Karandalaje, Bhanu Pratap Singh Verma, Darshana Vikram Jaddosh, Meenakshi Lekhi, Annapurna Devi, A. Narayanaswamy and Kaushal Kishore, Ajay Bhatt, B.L. Verma, Ajay Kumar, Chauhan Devasin and Anupriya Patel of Apna Dal were sworn in as the Ministers of State. Besides the BJP leaders Kapil Patil, Subhash Sarkar, Bharati Pawar, Bisheshwar Tudu, Shantanu Thakur, John Barala, L. Murugan and Nishit Pramanik and others also took oath as Ministers of State. And in today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on cabinet expansion and its implications. In conversation are K.S. Sachidananda Murthy, political analyst, and Sonu Sood, AIR correspondent.
The Union Cabinet was expanded this evening, the first expansion of the Narendra Modi government in its second tenure. President Ramnath Kovind administered the oath of office and secrecy to the 43 ministers at 6 p.m. today. Today's cabinet expansion has come after extensive deliberation and assessment of performance of different ministries by the Prime Minister. Sir, what do you feel are the broad considerations and objectives of this massive cabinet expansion undertaken by the government, where 36 new ministers have been inducted and 7 existing ministers elevated? What is the total strength of the expanded cabinet?
I think the Prime Minister's objective was that for various reasons, the exercise of cabinet expansion, which he had planned to do after about 6 to 8 months of coming back to power in 2019, that got affected due to one reason or the other, because of the government was on firefighting mode to deal with the first wave of the pandemic. Then there was a huge economic slowdown. As you know, there was a migrant crisis, there was a fall in industrial productivity, lockdowns in the country. So it was moving from one crisis to other. There were other challenges to the national security. So the Prime Minister and his core advisors did not have enough time to plan a major restructuring of the government. And in between, there were vacancies caused by departure of allies like the Akali Dal and the Shiv Sena from the cabinet, and the unfortunate death of Senior Minister Ramvilas Paswan and Minister of State Suresh Angadi. And as you recall, there were at least a dozen ministers who held additional charges of portfolios, and in some cases there were triple responsibilities with ministers also.
That's why now that the second wave has been handled in the country and state assembly elections are over and the government itself has completed 2.5 years of its second term, the Prime Minister felt this is the right opportunity to go. One is to fully expand the cabinet, look at various regions and communities which were unrepresented or underrepresented, and also make an assessment of the performance of his ministers, their delivery, their ability to shoulder higher responsibility. And this exercise has been going on for 3 to 4 weeks. The Prime Minister, being a Democrat, has strongly involved senior leaders of his own government as well as the party, like party president JP Nadda, senior ministers Rajnath Singh, Nitin Gadkari and Amit Shah, who were also party presidents earlier, plus consultations with a large number of ministers and party leaders. So the entire outcome was also done not only with the central government, but with the BJP at the national level and in different states like Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Assam and all. So this is a holistic exercise undertaken by the Prime Minister, and the result of which it has reached a near full capacity as permitted by the Constitution. So now the Council of Ministers has reached the full capacity, plus the Cabinet, that is where ministers discharge their responsibilities as cabinet members. The number of cabinet ministers has gone up from the earlier 24 to 36 now. So which means there's no need to give additional responsibility to ministers so that they're able to concentrate on the portfolio given to them. And this is another major attempt to streamline the administration and ensure faster delivery.
So, as you said that many ministers will be relieved of multiple portfolios and they'll be able to focus on single-mindedly on their portfolio which is assigned to them. Do you think that a cabinet reshuffle and expansion is also a way of ensuring the ministries and government departments are always alert, aware of their accountability in delivering governance, and therefore it breathes fresh energy and enthusiasm into the process of governance?
Absolutely. And also, if the lessons we have learned during the last 2 years of the economic slowdown, which was caused by global factors as well as the lockdowns induced by the pandemic, as well as the kind of challenge our own disaster management system, public health system, education system. I mean, you can look at across the spectrum, the migrant management system or the labor system. They all were put under severe stress during the last 2 years. And then there were a lot of inadequacies, shortcomings, and overexposed. So that means we have to tone up the administration, look at our responses. And the government has come with a series of stimulus packages. But then to implement these stimulus packages, the ministries and departments need to work very strongly. That's why one of the new departments created yesterday as part of this entire political exercise is the creation of the Ministry of Cooperation, which will look at the humongous role played by cooperatives in different sectors like fertilizers, dairying, marketing, sugar, agriculture, this thing. So the immense potential of the cooperative sector had not been realized as overcome by the debate between the public and private sector. But the cooperative sector is as big as the public or private sector. The Prime Minister felt it was just a department in the Agriculture Ministry, it was not getting enough attention. So I think there were a lot of lessons drawn by the Prime Minister and his team from the last 2 years of crisis management. And that's why the broader exercise has been taken. And now once the portfolios are identified, ministers are assigned, there will be a new energy in the government which will move from a crisis management into a development and growth oriented emphasis over the next 2.5 years remaining for this government.
Mr. Murthy, you just mentioned that in this expansion, representation was given region-wise and community-wise. We have seen that OBCs were given fair representation in the cabinet. What about gender and age? Do you think women have been given sufficient, representation? And do you think that new blood has been inducted into the cabinet and a balance has been achieved between age and experience?
If you look at these governments from 3 or 4 majors in this cabinet expansion exercise, the emphasis firstly has been to make it much more broader in terms of regional representation. Virtually every state has a minister in this government, barring an exception or two. Secondly, now we have 27 ministers belonging to the OBCs, a dozen ministers from the scheduled caste, 8 from the scheduled tribe. I mean, I'm just looking at a broad identification, and 5 ministers from the minority sections, because there has always been this feeling that this government did not have enough minority representatives. But then now there are cabinet ministers and ministers of state from the minority communities. That comes a gender representation. If you look at the way the government has been structured, there have been more women ministers of state who have been inducted in today's exercise. So given the number of women MPs in parliament, this is a good beginning.
Mr. Murthy, thank you so much for giving valuable insights into the expansion of the Union Cabinet announced today.
Thank you very much.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has left for a 3-day official visit to Russia. During the visit, he will meet his counterpart Sergei Lavrov. Discussions are expected to cover the entire range of bilateral issues, including cooperation in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as exchange of views on various regional and international issues. The External Affairs Minister will also meet Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, Yuri Borisov, who is his counterpart for the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific, Technological and Cultural Cooperation. He will also have a meeting with the chairman of the State Duma Committee on International Affairs, Leonid Slutsky. Dr. S. Jaishankar will deliver a speech on India-Russia ties in a changing world at the prestigious Primakov Institute of World Economy and International Relations in Moscow. The visit will be in the continuation of the frequent high-level visits between the two sides. The Russian Foreign Minister had visited New Delhi in April this year. The visit will further strengthen the special and privileged strategic partnership between the two countries. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met his Iranian counterpart Javad Zarif and had delegation-level discussions on regional and global affairs in Tehran. Dr. Jaishankar made a stopover in Iran today en route to Moscow. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar thanked President-elect Ibrahim Raisi for his gracious welcome in Iran. He handed over a personal message from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Dr. Jaishankar said, India deeply values Mr. Raisi's strong commitment to strengthen bilateral ties and expand cooperation on regional and global issues.
India and Singapore held a bilateral meeting through virtual mode under the aegis of Memorandum of Understanding entered into between the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions and Public Service Division of Singapore. During the meeting, both sides shared experiences on good governance practices in the pandemic, transforming leaderships and ethics, capacity building and training of leaders and public officers. Both sides decided to share the best practices on current technology, tools and processes of governance, capacity building and service delivery so that both the nations could benefit through cross-learning. More than 36 crore 45 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said more than 36 lakh vaccine doses were administered in the last 24 hours. The COVID-19 recovery rate in the country stands at 97.18%. More than 47,000 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. Till now, more than 2 crore 97 lakh 99,000 people have recovered from COVID-19. In the last 24 hours, more than 43,000 new cases were reported. Bangladesh recorded a sharp increase in deaths due to COVID-19 infection as a record number of 201 people died on Wednesday. This is the third consecutive day of highest number of deaths in a day being recorded in Bangladesh. On Tuesday, 163 people had died, while on Monday, 164 people succumbed to corona infection in the country.
Sydney residents will be in lockdown for another week as Australia's largest city fights to contain a COVID outbreak. The New South Wales government said it had made the difficult decision as it battles the highly transmissible Delta strain. A stay-at-home order was issued on 26 June. Australia has recorded 910 deaths and fewer than 31,000 cases since the pandemic began. This is All India Radio giving you the world news.
The centre is disseminating awareness of national helpline numbers for the benefit of citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic. The helpline number of the Health and Family Welfare Ministry is 1075. The Child Helpline number is 1098. For senior citizens of Delhi, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand, the helpline number is 14567. The helpline number of National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS, for psychological support is 08046110007. Ayush COVID-19 counselling helpline number is 14443 and MyGov WhatsApp help desk number is 9013151515.
Welcome back to the World News. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal today invited the business community in the Indo-Pacific region to actively take part in efforts for bolstering development, trade and growth in the region. He was delivering the keynote address at the CII special plenary with the trade ministers in the Indo-Pacific region. He said that India's track record should give confidence that it will be a natural and most reliable ally in the years to come. Describing Indo-Pacific region as the new economic center of gravity of the globalized world, Mr. Goyal said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2015 had articulated his vision for the Indo-Pacific in one word, Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. Haiti's President Jovenel Moise has been killed in an attack on his home in the nation's capital, Port-au-Prince. The country's interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph informed this. Claude Joseph said the president's residence in Port-au-Prince was stormed by unidentified armed men today. The First Lady was reportedly also injured in the attack. Joseph said that all measures had been taken to guarantee the continuation of the state. Jovenel Moise had been in power since February 2017 after his predecessor, Michel Martelly, stepped down. Moise's time in office was rocky as he faced accusations of corruption and was challenged by waves of often violent anti-government protests. And now a report from the business world.
At the stock markets, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange rose 194 points or 0.4% to end at an all-time closing high of 53,055 today. Nifty at the National Stock Exchange advanced 61 points or 0.4% to end at a record high of 15,880. At the domestic forex market, the rupee weakened 7 paise to 74 rupees and 62 paise against the US dollar. Among global markets, key indices in Asia Pacific ended mostly higher. So Japan's Nikkei 225 index dropped 1%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index fell 0.4%. South Korea's Kospi index slipped 0.6% and Singapore's Straits Times index declined 1.5%. But China's Shanghai Composite index rose 0.7% on tech companies showing their strength. In Europe, London's FTSE 100 had gained 0.3% and Germany's DAX had advanced 1%, but France's CAC 40 had shed 0.1% in intraday trade. After a sharp fall yesterday, global crude oil recovered today with support coming from a tight market amid uncertainty about OPEC Plus supply policy. So Brent crude futures rose 32 cents to trade at $74.85 a barrel. U.S. crude futures climbed 38 cents to $73.75 a barrel. Back home, gold shed 29 rupees to 46,903 rupees per 10 grams for Delhi's bullion market today. This is Lalema Aneja Dang for World News, All India Radio.
Only a few days are left for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Today we will talk about boxer Vikas Krishna in the Special Olympic Series by All India Radio.
The country's players have been performing well in boxing in the Olympics. Born on 10th February 1992 in Hisar, Haryana, Vikas is a veteran fighter who has an illustrious boxing career spanning more than 10 years. He made the country proud by winning gold medals in the 2010 Asian Games and the 2018 Commonwealth Games. Vikas Krishna represented India at the 2012 Olympics in London for the first time. Vikas is the second boxer from the country after Vijender Singh to have secured an Olympic quota for the third time. Vikas will try his best to improve his 2016 performance of Rio Olympics, where he reached the quarterfinals, and will try and win a medal in the upcoming Tokyo Olympics. Vikas said it was because of his father's encouragement that he ventured into boxing.
बॉक्सिंग मेरे फादर की एक चॉइस थी, वो चाहते थे कि मैं स्ट्रॉन्ग बनूं, इसलिए उन्होंने मुझे बॉक्सिंग में डाला था 2001-2002 में। और जब मैं सोचने के लायक हुआ तो जब ये मेरा ड्रीम हो चुका था ताकि मैं कंट्री को रिप्रेजेंट करूं। बचपन के अंदर हमारी स्टेट चैंपियनशिप होती थी, कैडेट स्टेट चैंपियनशिप, तो फिर कैडेट स्टेट चैंपियनशिप मेरा गोल्ड था, मेरा बेस्ट बॉक्सर था, परंतु अनफॉर्चुनेटली मेरा नेशनल के अंदर सिलेक्शन नहीं हुआ।
Vikas spoke about his training and past Olympic experiences as well.
अब मैं बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग हूँ 6'9" के अंदर, अब मेरे पास बहुत ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है और पिछली जो गलतियों से मैंने सीखा है, चाहे वो डिफेंस का हो, चाहे वो अटैक का हो, जो भी टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट्स को मैंने अब सुधारा है।
Best wishes of entire nation are with Vikas Krishna and may he live up to his medal hopes at the Tokyo Olympics. Diksha Saxena, Sports Desk.
The Olympic torch relay has been cancelled on Tokyo streets as fears over the spread of COVID-19 continue to plague the Games. Starting Friday, public relay events in the city will be replaced with flame lighting ceremonies streamed online. The officials informed only the leg in the remote Ogasawara Island south of Tokyo will go ahead as planned. Tokyo 2020 is due to begin on 23rd July despite public opposition. People in Japan have taken to the streets in recent months calling for the Olympics to be cancelled or postponed amid the fear of COVID. Mithali Raj's 3 successive half-centuries in the 3-match ODI series against England helped her to grab number 1 position in ICC Women's ODI player rankings for the 8th time in her 22-year-old international career. The 38-year-old, who made 72 runs in the first ODI, struck 59 in the second match and then guided India to a 4-wicket victory in the final match of the series with an unbeaten 75, gaining 4 spots to sit atop the latest weekly rankings. In Wimbledon tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic has entered the men's singles semi-final after beating unseeded Martin Fucsovics of Hungary in straight sets by 6-3, 6-4, 6-4. The second quarter-final match, the 10th seeded Denis Shapovalov of Canada defeated Russian Karen Khachanov. In remaining men's singles quarter-final matches, 8-time champion Roger Federer will clash with 14th seed Hubert Hurkacz of Poland, while 7th seed Matteo Berrettini will face 16th seed Felix Auger-Aliassime tonight.
Now, let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post says that Eric Adams, projected winner of the NYC Democratic mayoral primary. New York Times writes that Taliban attack a provincial capital in Afghanistan's north, freeing prisoners. Sputnik News says that Russia, concerned over situation around Iran's plan to produce uranium metals, says Deputy FM. Financial Times says Delta variant drives Spain's COVID-19 rate to highest in mainland Europe. The Guardian reports that the European Union urged to suspend funds to Hungary over grave breaches of the rule of law. Gulf Times says United States official warns China against catastrophic move on Taiwan. Gulf Times writes IMF chief urges G20 to prevent devastating blow to the poorest. And now, before we end, a quick look at the headlines once again. Union Council of Ministers expanded in India. 43 ministers, including 15 cabinet ministers, take oath following all the COVID protocols. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar leaves for a 3-day visit to Russia. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal invites business community to actively take part in development process in the Indo-Pacific region. Haiti's President Jovenel Moise assassinated at his home in Port-au-Prince. Olympic torch relay cancelled on Tokyo streets amid COVID-19 fear. And in Wimbledon tennis, Novak Djokovic enters the men's singles semi-finals after defeating Martin Fucsovics. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnava Jan, by artists from Djibouti.
पर दुखे उपकार करे तो
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.